Great. Okay, so I just wanted to start with check-ins. How are things going? Anything you want to make sure we talk about today? Anything you want us to know about that's going on at your panel? Is there success or challenges? And why don't we start with you, Jen? You're the first one on my screen, Jen Lupien.
Okay. Everything's going well. Like I just mentioned a few minutes ago, farm share deliveries for the summer have ended, so that hustle and bustle is done. As far as, let's see, some challenges, we're still looking for a nurse in the Randolph area. And currently, Kate Anderson was our nurse in Waitsfield, Waterbury, Warren, and her last day was yesterday. So again, that one's a half panel for a nurse. And then I checked in with Berry Housing, and it sounds like they have their half panel nurse on board, but not the half panel SASH coordinator. They had somebody lined up, but it fell through. So, and that's it in my area. If anybody knows anybody, let us know.
Thanks, Jen. So you're looking for 2 nurses and 1 SAT and a half-time SASH coordinator. That's for that new half panel. Is that officially open? Is that like started?
I believe that they have started it because they had somebody in mind to come on for the coordinating position. And it sounds like Debbie, who has a full panel, is kind of covering stuff that's happening right now to get it up and going, from what Hillary told me. So yeah, she said back to the drawing board is what she told me yesterday.
Okay, thanks, Jen. Gary.
Oh, I'm here. Yeah, no, we're plugging along. We're fully staffed now. That's to include the new half panel. Yeah, I'm the only other thing that I've got a nurse that's going to drop down some hours. So I believe I have another nurse that's willing to pick that up in-house. So more to follow on that. But that's basically what's going on here.
Great, thanks, Gary. Kathy?
Good morning, everyone. Our SASH coordinator transferred to another panel. It wasn't a good fit for him. We do have an intern coming next week. She's a psychology second-year grad student. I worked with her last year, so I'm really excited about her coming on board. And you know, I'm really positive about everything. We have a low amount of participants on our panel right now, only 44. So I'm doing SASH coordination as well. And I love doing SASH coordination. So, you know, it's all good. I think we're going to do well. We're doing some marketing to try to entice people that are Vermont Blue Advantage members to sign up for SASH. We're having open house on in September, the end of September, and also in October. And this is going to be for about over 500 people. We're going to be advertising the open houses for. So it's going to be a lot of phone calls, and only my wellness nurse and I are the only 2 that'll be making the phone calls and letting people know that they have this new benefit as being a Vermont Blue Advantage member, which is SASH, of course. And that they're welcome to come to our open house. We've had good success by having these open houses in the past, so we look forward to having them. It's just going to be a lot of phone calls for Jason and I. So, but other than that, we're good. You know, I'm looking forward to, we're interviewing. I have an interview today, actually, for a new SASH coordinator, and we'll see what happens. But I feel positive about our panel. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. Donna? How are things there? Donna, how are things there? You're on mute.
Just me? Oh.
You're
no?
Yep, now I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you said Jenna or something. So anyway, we officially started the SASH for All pilot program here yesterday. So Jake, who was a coordinator with our regular SASH, moved into that position. So we are looking for 2 full-time SASH coordinators here for Brattleboro Housing. We're combining our new half panel in Bellows Falls with my half panel to make that a full panel so that I can have a half panel. We had an interview yesterday, have 2 tomorrow, so fingers crossed. It's been super challenging, but I found that I totally rewrote the job ad and made it like super fun and like, hey, if you don't feel like you qualify, apply anyway. And like, I literally got 10 applications in one day. So I was like, and like every day I'm getting, they're not all like, you know, anyone we could hire. Like some of them are still only have like dishwasher backgrounds and stuff. We really need a little bit more than that, but it's been really great in the sense that so many people are applying now, where I have gone like almost 3 weeks with no resumes coming in through Indeed. So yeah, so that's pretty much it.
That's exciting. That might be something you want to share with this team.
Sure.
Folks on it, because I know that's a struggle everywhere. Just an update for this group. I'm not sure how, I'm not sure what all we've shared about the SASH for All program, but that is a pilot that was funded through Bernie Sanders' office through earmark funding for 1 year to pilot SASH in family housing. And so there's 2 panels, one at Wyndham Windsor Housing Trust and one at Brattleboro Housing. Can you guys still hear me? I just lost the Zoom connection. Sorry about that. So that's starting this week, which is super exciting. Okay, Lisa.
Let's see. So we have our SASH coordinator at our building, which we were sort of experiencing the drug and gang violence, resigned, and we all certainly understood why and couldn't. Yeah, I totally get it. So that position is open. And so we're all just taking turns sort of squatting there as much as possible. And our director of operations is working there twice a week. And so everyone's just trying to support that. But I think I'm just looking through a lot of positions open, but I think that's the main SASH one. We are trying a pilot project where we're splitting up at I think it's 2 sites, property management and SASH, to see how it goes, specifically because of what's happening at this building. So currently we have like a housing manager position, which is not SASH, but it's like combined for that team. But because we're overseeing it all, it's all connected. Yeah, so we're just hanging in there.
Thanks, Lisa. Becky? Everything's there.
Good morning. We are still interviewing for 3 positions at the moment. A part-time wellness nurse, excuse me, 2 full-time coordinators, and Sue Cottrell, who had left us, is back for at least through the fall, I believe. So that frees up that position for now. She'll be back, I believe, next week. Like Lisa, we have a problem in one of our buildings, so we had to shift gears and move that coordinator to another building, so we're sharing offices. But yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, Becky. Certainly a lot of vacancies, sounds like, right now. Carol.
Morning. The Maple Village Manor panel is, they lost Freddie Cannon. And so they are without the SASH coordinator, and they are also without a SASH wellness nurse at this point. And I think his panel, half panel, needs a little TLC. And other than that, I think most of our panels are full. In terms of staffing, I wouldn't say there's much going on at this point. I do have the Castleton Fairhaven panel. Colleen is out, has been out for a bit, maybe out for a bit longer. Her wellness nurse is holding her own the best she can. I was out for a while, so I think it's just a matter of everybody kind of getting back into the swing of things, and hopefully, we can fill those spots.
And Carol, do you have a half panel starting as well?
I understand that Housing Trust is supposed to be taking on that half panel. I don't think Kevin has heard anything, and I haven't heard anything. But I will reach out to Mary at some point.
Yeah, I wanted to, one of the things on the agenda, and I'll skip to it right now just because there are so many vacancies, is to let everyone know that April Menser is moving on to a new position. She has a really wonderful opportunity, so we're certainly going to miss her, but so she was doing the remote SASH coordinator support. So that's why we can't kind of offer you that help at the moment. We are looking at reposting that position to try to refill that. We do currently have Donna and Sarah, who are the remote nurses. So if you need remote nursing support, they do have capacity to pick up additional panels and support you from a nursing perspective. So please let us know if you want that help, because they can do that. And I'll keep you posted as far as the remote SASH coordinator availability and what we can do there. April is going to be, she's with us until September 21st. So she's going to be wrapping up with the panels that she's covering right now. All right, let me just share the agenda, and then I think we were going to, oh, actually, Kat, you didn't do the IM check-in.
Hi, everybody. Sorry I'm late. Let's see. Thinking of vacancies, I have a vacancy in Addison County, a SASH coordinator half-time position that just came up. Still have a half-time opening at Winooski Housing Authority that's been there for a while. Otherwise, that's it. There's a new nurse who's really settled into her role down in Addison, which has been great. And she's been getting some support and mentoring with Donna Tatum. That's been going really well. And then, yeah, otherwise that's it for vacancies. Anything else for the check-in that I missed?
Just any challenges or successes that you wanted to share with this group, or issues that you wanted to share with this group?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I know something that's come up, and I think you're going to speak to it a little more, Casey, is just some challenges with COVID that have been starting to creep in again. And I know that one panel in particular is struggling, I think, with just how fluid the COVID guidelines are with, just everybody in general, and not quite sure how to manage that with, the dual on-site not property management necessarily, but just dealing with some of like the property management stuff. But that's the only thing I can think of in terms of challenges. I know they've been getting back to programming, which has been going really well. And I think just having some newer staff in a few of the panels that just start to really acclimate and get to know participants, which I think has been really positive.
Thanks, Kat. I will share my screen here too. So we were going to go next to back to you, Kat, with just checking. I think several folks spoke briefly about where they were at with the half panel rollout. I'm trying to make this bigger. But I wanted you to speak a little bit about just what your plan is with supporting these half panels, what that looks like, and your kind of your process over the next couple of months with helping with that.
Sure.
That's my
So
first.
I will, what I'll probably do is and it's kind of nice because it seems like the rollout is just naturally a little staggered. So I'll probably be reaching out to you as an IM, if you have a panel that's going to be rolling out, as well as the staff that are opening that panel. I do process a quarterly check-in, and I start that depending on the panel. I try to get that started, and then at the first few months that they've opened the panel, and it's once every 4 months that I check in, or once every 3 months. Sorry, math, not my strong suit. And I will share after we send out the notes from this meeting. I can send you the step-by-step implementation guide, but it's essentially looking at the best practices from the SASH perspective of just opening up a brand new panel. So we'll go over very basic things of, do you have a locked filing cabinet where you can keep your assessments, to, other things, just thinking down the road of, do you have a good volunteer base for your panel? So it's a really great opportunity, I think, for me to just get to know the staff, and also just the different, experiences and any challenges that they're coming up with, and to just really kind of get our heads together to think about strategies, or, give kudos for stuff that they've been doing. So I'm going to be very busy with these new rollouts, but again, I think it's a really good opportunity. I've done this now with 2 new panels that we've opened since I've been in my role. And I do think it's a really valuable part of the QA process. And you'll be involved as little or as much as you want. You're welcome to come to the meetings. And then I, can certainly touch base if I see anything, or if I think there's an opportunity for more support for your staff. Any questions about that process or what it looks like?
I know both Gary and I think it was
Pilar.
Sean. There's a couple of panels that are already started.
Oh, yeah.
Gary's panel, and then write this down. I can't find it.
Lisa Gabush, the Cathedral Square, is opening up at Bayview.
And that's October, right?
And I had checked in before, Berry Housing, Kat, Hillary told me yesterday that they had somebody lined up for the half coordinator position and it fell through. And then the next thing was that Debbie only had 13 more to go. So I don't know if you and I want to touch base
Sure.
at some point. I don't know if she's covering the half panel or exactly what's happening, because they said they're back to the drawing board.
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah, and one question I have, Kat, is I know some of these are half panels that are kind of getting shifted, like Jen's. And so will the QI process look any different for those panels than a brand new panel?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it kind of depends. I think that majority of the new panels, to my understanding, are going to be brand new. But I do think that they'll look different in terms of what we cover and what's discussed if it's an existing panel just getting built upon. Yeah, it'd be something to think about.
Well, certainly reach out to Kat if you have any questions about this process, or if you have a panel that's up and going and you're ready to get it started. Your staff will go through the normal 4 weeks of onboarding with Annika, and then at the end of that, start connecting with Kat. But if they need additional support during any of those periods, please reach out to our team and let us know what they what they need, because I think it is going to be a little different at every area, whether it's all community, all site, whether it's meshing of different panels, and whether it's new staff or existing staff. So they're all going to look a little bit different, but reach out to us if you have questions on that. I wanted to give a couple of quick COVID updates. So unfortunately, computer's not being super helpful this morning, but can you see my screen? Is that okay? Awesome. Okay. There are new boosters available starting this week in Vermont. I'm going to be sending an email out to all the staff. I think I have that almost ready to go out today, just with these kind of general updates. The ask or the encouragement is for everyone to get this new booster shot. You can get the shots. They're both Moderna and Pfizer has a version. It's called a bivariant booster, which means it's covering more than one variation of the virus. So this is covering the original COVID-19 strain and then also the Omicron BA4 and BA5 strains. So it's covering a broader range of variants. Theoretically will give us more protection. So there is a lot of concern about a fall winter surge of the Omicron variant this fall and winter, now that everybody's moving back inside and a lot of people's boosters are kind of running out. So really encouraging everyone to get this new booster shot. You can get the booster shot. Everyone over 12 can get a booster shot if it's been more than 2 months since their last dose, or 3 months since they've had the virus. So that's the current recommendation. It can get it at the same time as the flu shot. I found this handy text method of finding a vaccine near you on the Vermont Department of Health website, and I tried it this morning. It gave me 2 sites. I didn't call either one of them to find out how long I'd have to wait to get an appointment, but just putting in your zip code. So I will share this with the coordinators and the nurses today. They are not doing large vaccine clinics that I know of at this time, mostly because of lack of interest in staffing, but they are going to be available at pharmacies and at providers' offices. And again, that's going to be starting this week. So really encouraging people to get the vaccine. I know we are going to get questions from staff around setting up vaccine clinics at your sites. I don't have any information right now about the possibility of doing that. When we looked into that in the past, it was mostly limited by pharmacist capacity. So, but I think it would need to be through a pharmacy. And so that would be the place to reach out if coordinators are interested in trying to set up vaccine clinics. It may be possible as we get a little farther into the fall and the supply isn't greater to do it in conjunction with the flu clinics. But again, this is kind of really new information. This was just approved last week by the FDA. So just a quick update on testing. The state sites are closed. Those have been closed through the summer. So they're really relying on home antigen tests. Those are mostly they can be picked up at local departments of health. A lot of doctors' offices have them. Some food banks have them. You can get them from pharmacies. They're covered by most insurances at this point, though some insurances are requiring you to pay for them and then get reimbursed. So that's a little bit of a hassle. There are organizations can also reach out to the Vermont Department of Health and get a big supply of them. So that's another option. If you don't have testing at your site and you want to have a supply, you can reach out to the Vermont Department of Health and get a bunch of these tests there with your participants. And then there has been some recent changes around recommendations on isolation. The current recommendations on the CDC site are that people should isolate for 5 days from their positive test or from their first symptoms. What I'm hearing is that there are folks testing positive for a lot longer than that. So they're still testing positive 10 days out. And what do you do with that? I have not been able to find a really clear answer, partly I think because they have so many conflicting priorities. They want people to get back to work, whereas our priority is really wanting to protect participants. So I think that's kind of an HR question at each individual site as to when you can come back if you're still testing positive. Any COVID related stuff that's going on or that you have questions about?
Casey, this is Becky. With that new bivariant booster, is the participant eligible for it if they have not received a booster, if they've been vaccinated but chose not to get the other booster? Are they eligible for this one?
I believe so, yeah.
Thank you.
I think this can be a second shot.
Okay, thanks.
They just want to get this into as many people as possible. So.
Casey, that was my next question. Is this available to everybody? Are they doing a rollout of, vulnerable populations first, or can anybody just get this bivariant booster?
My understanding is that it's open to everybody right from the beginning. They said age 12 and up. So I think they even want teens to start getting this right away. I think that there was a pretty underwhelming response to the booster, and a lot of people never even got their second shot. So not expecting there to be long lines for this, unfortunately. The only other thing I'm adding to the email to your staff is to continue to encourage people to get treatment if they test positive, especially folks who are high risk. Even if they have been vaccinated, the treatment really needs to get started right away as soon as they have symptoms, so that there's still treatment out there. So reach out to their doctor as soon as they test positive and see if and explore those treatment options. Anything else COVID related? We all would like to just pretend this doesn't exist anymore, but I was listening to Dr. Osterholm's podcast, which I hadn't listened to in about 4 months, to be honest. And just listening to some of his data yesterday is amazing how much COVID there really still is in the world. And it's, a year ago, those numbers would have been alarming and we would all have been locking down, but we're still really high. We're just responding to it differently, mostly because of the vaccine. But it's definitely still out there and still impacting a lot of lives. Vermont is one of the only states where it's pretty low right now, but there's a lot of COVID around. So I'm really encouraging people to get this booster, get it back on people's radar just for a day or two to get their booster shot. Annika, you can talk about the conference for a moment?
Yeah, sorry, the jets are flying overhead and I can't even hear myself speak when they do this. Okay, I think they're, so the SASH conference is 3 weeks away. So it's actually 3 weeks from today. So this is our lineup. I think we have a great lineup. The only piece that is we're still kind of working out is that very last part, the breakout sessions. I think we talked about this last month, that we're thinking about doing those. So we're not sure still if that's all going to work out. And if it doesn't, we're going to replace it with another speaker and probably one on staff safety. So stay tuned and we'll see how that final piece plays out. But otherwise, this is it. I think it's a great lineup. We're really excited about it. And we hope that you'll encourage staff to attend. I may have mentioned this last time, or you may have heard me say this in another venue, but I did send out the wrong registration link. I sent it as a webinar, a Zoom webinar, and we need to send it as a Zoom meeting so that we can all see each other. So I'm going to be sending that out hopefully this week, but next week at the latest, just trying to get some other pieces in order before I send that out. So yeah, I think that's it. let me know if you have any questions about it, and we hope to see you all there.
Thanks, Annika. I know there's a lot of new staff around the state who maybe never attended our conference before. So I hope that you can all really encourage everybody to come for the day. We are recording it, but certainly having folks there live, especially because we are doing, we might be doing the breakout room. We're definitely doing some breakout rooms at lunch just for networking and social time. So it's a great opportunity for staff to connect and see each other. Please encourage all your staff to come. Any thoughts or questions on the conference? Oh, so I will stop my share for a second. I had asked Gary and maybe Danielle to just give a quick update on the training you guys did at Rural Edge around Narcan and how that went, how that got organized.
I can get started. We've been working with the Recovery Center in St. Johnsbury for a number of years now, and they've always provided us with the training, the updates, what's going on in the community as far as the opiate situation and so on. One thing that kind of changed this year, what we had to do is I had to order the Narcan directly from the Department of Health. It has not arrived yet, so we had to kind of fake what we were going to do with it yesterday. But that's what you'll need to do if you want to do a training. I'd recommend working with one of your recovery centers. They're up to date with what's going on. One question I had, and probably you've all heard about it too, is the fentanyl strips, because most of the substances that's out there right now is fentanyl. And in the old days, you used to get one dose of Narcan. Now they're recommending two. They supply you with two doses. And there are certain things to look for if someone is overdosing. But again, they're the professionals on that, and they know exactly what to do. So I would suggest, talking to someone at one of your recovery centers to host one of these events. It doesn't take long. Also, there's been the question of liability if we ever administer it ourselves. And I've checked with our CEO and our insurance company, and the Good Samaritan law. We're doing what we can to help folks out. So, Danielle, is there anything you want to add on what you're experiencing up north?
Yes, so we did ours a little different. We did it at Journey to Recovery in Newport, and they did like a 20-minute presentation and then a 10-minute presentation on how to administer or how to know when to administer. And they gave us 2 doses as well, saying that a lot of times 1 dose is not enough because of the new strains of what they're able to get their hands on is a little high for 1 dose. So pretty much just reiterating what Gary said, just a little bit different because we went to their facility, but they will come to any of our community spaces and do a presentation. They're more than willing and eager to spread the word about how to use the Narcan.
And so you guys got all of your SASH staff trained? Is that who attended?
Yep.
Yes.
Well, and some Rural Edge employees did as well. Property managers, it's really good for them to know because they're going in and out of homes. Maintenance staff as well, going in and out of homes. Anybody who comes in contact with somebody, is a prime candidate to know how.
One of the things that was brought up yesterday, and I think maybe you've seen it on the news too, is that the dealers or the suppliers of fentanyl are now starting to target younger people, kids, things like that. So they're coloring some of the pills that are being distributed to look more like a Pez or something like that. And there's another batch that looks kind of like chalk that you'd use on the sidewalk. So they're targeting younger and younger people all the time.
Lisa, I saw you unmuted.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious, Gary, about the Good Samaritan law. Like, is it your insurance company who determines? Are they pretty okay with anyone administering it, or doesn't have to be like a designated person as long as they're trained?
We ran this whole situation by our CEOs. I mean, we've been doing it probably about 8 or 9 years, and a long time ago, we ran that question by our CEOs. They in turn talked with our insurance company, and they were good with that. The Good Samaritan law. It would be a good idea if you talk to your bosses to see what their comfort level is. We're waiting to see if they'll be putting Narcan dispensers in some of the properties. That's still up in the air. There's also the other thing too is one thing that we found out is that Narcan cannot be too hot or too cold. So if you're in and out of buildings, things like that, and you keep it in your bag, chances are it's going to expire. The other thing, if you're expecting someone to have an overdose, you can still administer the Narcan, and if it's opiate or fentanyl based overdose, they'll react to it. If not, and it's something else, it will not harm them. So but again, that's a good training piece to ask questions as well.
Yeah, because the lady I was just gonna say, the lady who did the training, she gave herself the Narcan while we were able to watch, and I mean, there was no symptom, no side effects. She just gave it to herself, and that was it. So and she was obviously perfectly fine doing the training. Yeah.
What we've
Yeah,
noticed is
very,
there's been
very
a lot of questions that have come up about the ethics of it, and what in the past, what we've heard, well, why should we do this? If they want to overdose, that's up to them, but it's saving a life. I've seen it in action a few times where I am. And also, if you've got people that are taking opiates, prescription opiates, then they overdose, it'll also help them as well.
Is anybody else carrying Narcan? Any other SASH staff carrying Narcan around the state other than Rural Edge? That I'm seeing no. Okay.
I've honestly thought about just having it in my purse, but I mean, I think I'd have to like go through a training, but just because it's so prevalent that, I feel like if I ever saw somebody overdosing or, I just feel like it's unfortunate nowadays, like you kind of feel like you have to carry it. I would love to go through more training. I think I went through one through Recovery Vermont in Chittenden County, and it was really great, but it was a couple of years ago now. So
Definitely bringing it back to the team to talk about. I mean, just based on everything going on. I don't know if that's more work or less work or just good knowledge to have, but it's definitely something to consider either way.
I think it's great knowledge to have under your belt, whether you use it or not. I mean, just to know. And it's not like a full all day training, it's like literally you set an hour out of your day. And
oh, okay. So
yeah.
it's not like 8 hours or
no. It's super quick and easy. She can literally, throw the speech out in a half hour.
Downstreet's talking about it right now, just because we have actually had a couple overdoses in the parking lot. And luckily EMS responded in time, but it was just one of those things where it's like, okay, we need to talk about it now. So we are.
I think the dangerous part of administering it is how they come out of it. They're mad, they're angry. You took their high. So that's what you have to watch out for. It's just, you administer it and then just stand back, make sure that they're not hurting themselves, when they do try to come out of their high. But they're just mad at you. That's basically what you have to be careful of.
What we've learned from this time around is that if someone is overdosing, is to first, tap their face, see if you can get a response that way. Administer one dose and see if they come out of it. But don't do the two doses at the same time. Wait a little bit, tap them again, see if they start to come around, and make sure they're breathing. And then if you need to administer the second dose, go ahead. But before all that, you should call 911 and have them on the way.
And not to do our lady told us not to do the same nostril, to do both, because you don't know what kind of breathing issues they have prior to you. If it's the first time that you've ever seen this person, one nostril might be better than the other, and that's why they didn't maybe get the full dose. So she said just to do both if you have to do two.
Yeah, and they also recommend that lay them on their side prior to this to make sure if they start coming out, they vomit, they don't choke on their own vomit.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Gary and Danielle, for sharing about that. I know Rural Edge has been doing it for quite some time, so thank you for sharing that. And I wanted to share a training that came through around this, for really directed toward our staff. And this is about, it's a free training. It's October 5th, and it's a Narcan awareness program for older adults, for home health workers, to train people kind of how to use Narcan themselves, how caregivers can recognize an overdose. So this is an hour and a half webinar that's available, and I can share this. I think it's already on our SASH calendar, but we can also share it in the notes. It might be something that would be useful for staff. Certainly doesn't replace the hands-on training that Danielle and Gary are talking about, but might be something that could be additional.
Right. Well, I think this is important too, Casey, because it's, I think we often think of, overdoses related to opiates through, recreational drugs or street drugs, but it can very easily happen with somebody who's prescribed opiates. So I know that was something that we would talk about with participants that were on an opiate, and just being aware of, if you forget you take a dose more than once, or you forget you took it, you can also overdose. So that's the other point.
Can participants that are on opioids get Narcan from their pharmacy? Do we know?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
I think that it's underprescribed. Underprescribed. But they can get it from recovery centers. They will just hand it out, but it is. I think it's available through the pharmacy if the doctor orders it and they fill it. Anything else on that? They are growing need. So.
I just wanted to add, if you want, I could send you the link where you can order Narcan from the Vermont Department of Health.
That'd be great. Yeah, thanks, Gary. Can include that in our notes. So I think this is my last, this is the last slide. I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about our communication this year, because we significantly changed the way both our trainings and our communication with staff for 2022. And wanted to get your feedback on that change. Is it enough? Is it too much? Is there something better? And really, I broke this into two different parts. One is our communication, which has been the vlog and the beat, and wondering if you feel like your staff are watching the vlog. Are they reading the beat? Is it helpful? So I wanted to start there, and on the right there is our calendar of how often that's coming out. So the vlog came out in February, May, and August, and then is due to come out again in November. And the beat is also came out 4 times during the year. Any thoughts or feedback on that? Those communication pieces?
Hey,
Oh, yeah,
Casey,
Casey. Oh, go ahead, Gary.
Okay.
I just have a question. I think if I recall that there's been some issues about people aren't utilizing these resources as often as they should. But I'm also wondering, I'm trying to remember back in the old days that the directors and managers had a chance to kind of get an update on who's doing what. Is that still available, or where people are behind in certain things?
I'm not sure what you're referring to, Gary.
Well, we'd get basically it was kind of a report that said who's completed what. I know in Realis sometimes it has that, but I think there was a little bit more information. I know it's like authoritarian, but you got a good idea to find out who's keeping up with their vlogs or some of their other information they should be doing.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So looking for like something back from us on whether your staff are opening the blog, or sorry, that kind of, whether they're doing the quality improvement work, those
Yes.
kinds of reports. Yeah. That's definitely something we can, in some cases, still run. Like, we don't know whether people are reading the beat necessarily, so we can tell you how many look at it on Star. I think, I'm sorry, I'm gonna let somebody else ask you a question or answer while my dog carry on.
The way that we kind of gather that information is pretty scattered, because somebody could like attend a call, for example, in person, and then we definitely know that they were there, but if they watched it on YouTube, there's not really a great way to track attendance for that kind of thing. And similarly for the beat, like, we get information about if somebody opens it, but does that mean that they actually read the content? Who knows? Does that answer your question? Or is that what you're trying to get at, Casey?
Yes, thank you, Jen. And I think certainly, Gary, if there's something that would be specifically helpful, we can try to get you some data on it. I can tell you that it's certainly better than maybe sometimes in the past, as far as the staff seeming to know the information in a lot of cases, but certainly not universal. We do still have staff coming up with questions that we've answered already, for example, or something that we just talked about on a recent webinar that they aren't aware of, that kind of thing. Somebody else was going to ask a question or give us some feedback.
I feel like some of my question was answered. And Gary, when I do my check-ins with my team, I actually ask them, and because I always appreciate when they're telling, the truth, and the proof is in the pudding kind of thing. But yeah, I was kind of wondering, because I think the only report that we can really get now is from Jen as far as what their PHL usage is. And I feel like that still doesn't totally reflect completely how they use it. But yeah, I couldn't tell you about the vlog though. I do not know who's seen the vlog, because I haven't asked, because I haven't had time. But anyway.
Anybody hear anything from their staff about if they like anything better, any form of communication better one way or another? We had heard that staff really liked the blog initially, so we've continued doing that. Is that something they're still enjoying, finding useful? Maybe it's better.
I think one thing that I would be interested, and I can certainly ask the folks that I'm the IM for, is whether or not they appreciate the open forums. I think that, I think that we do cover good information, but I wonder if, like maybe it's less than what we have a year that we do the open forum, or if there's anything anything we can do to restructure that. That seems to be like the newest addition where we've been having that so frequently in the past year.
Yeah, on the trainings, one piece we're talking about as a team of whether they are enough. It seems, and we're still meeting more about what we want 2023 to look like. So that's kind of why we wanted your feedback. But are there enough software systems calls? Are there enough wellness nurse calls? I know Marcy has started adding some because especially with her being new and trying to develop a relationship with the nurses, doing one every other month wasn't enough. So she's added some to both because there's been some topics that we really needed to cover, but also just to get to know folks and wanting to hear from them. So clearly this kind of really, it's hard in December to decide for the year what might be needed. And so that we want to change that for sure next year. But any other feedback on the open forum, the nurse calls, the coordinator calls, software systems calls? Allow another moment or two of awkward silence, but the other thing is if you could ask your staff and let us know any feedback, that would be really helpful. Are they getting enough? Are they hearing from us often enough? Are they getting enough trainings from us? And is there a way they would like to get information that's different? That would be really helpful for us to know from your staff. How many, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but do you guys watch the vlog? Did you guys watch the last vlog? I can't see everybody at once, so I can't see if you're shaking your head. Maybe a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I don't know. Did anybody watch the vlog?
No, I didn't watch it personally.
Okay.
I didn't, but it's more about I have a prioritized list of like where, if you're telling me it should fall further up, I can make that happen. But also I'm just trying to figure out where to place things. So it's a timing thing for me.
Sure. And I think that's true for certainly everybody on this meeting and also our staff around the state. It's not necessarily that they don't find it helpful or they don't find it useful. It's that there's other things taking priority. But that's helpful for us because we want to make sure that we're communicating enough with your staff so they know we exist and we have a relationship with them. But we also, when we talk to them, we want to be heard. So we don't want to do it so much that it doesn't feel needed either. So we're trying to walk that fine balance. But I can tell you it probably took 3 or 4 hours for this team to put the vlog together. So if it's not useful, then we don't want to do that either. So.
And I just want to say, I think the point of the vlog was that it was supposed to be under 10 minutes. So it's like everything you needed to know for the last 3 months. And really, we're trying for 5 minutes, it's just really a 2-minute thing. So I don't know if you even knew that it was something that was short. So yeah, maybe we should emphasize that and say exactly how long it is or something.
That is helpful.
Yeah.
That is really helpful. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, please send us any feedback you think of or that you hear from your staff on this. Always useful for us as we plan for next year and start to think about what's needed for next year. Anything else? I think that was everything on our agenda. Happy to give everybody 5 minutes back in their day. Oh, Jen, I'm sorry. We wanted to mention something about 1815. Thank you for unmuting and triggering that memory. Do you want to do that?
Sure, yes, just wanted to let everybody know that Marcy and I's next 9-month cohort for the targeted hypertension and diabetes 1815 grant group. We're going to be sending out an email to all staff to pick the next cohort. That cohort will be starting October 1st, and we're going to ask staff to pick that group over the next 2 weeks and submit that via JotForm. So if you get questions about why they're getting 2 lists of people this month, that's why, because we're picking the next 9-month group. And as always, they can send us questions directly, but that is the big ask that we have for the teams in the next 2 weeks.
And I just add that the work with this cohort has been really awesome. There's a lot of really good work. I know Marcy's going to be sending out a JotForm to the nurses to try to capture some of the anecdotal pieces of the work they've done, but the numbers, the reduction in blood pressure, the reduction in A1C, and the number of healthy living plans that they're doing with these folks has been really, really great. So a lot of good progress with that. This is our last year with the 1815 grant. It ends in June of 2023. And then I'm sure the CDC will have another random number grant assigned to us. But so we're really wrapping up 5 years of work. And so it's great to be going out on a good note with some of these quality improvement projects. It's really exciting. Anything else from anybody? Right, we will send out a follow-up email. Gary, if you send me that address, I can include it for the Narcan. We'll include Kat's summary of her work with quality improvement around the new panels. And I can also add that training, that Narcan training that I shared with the PowerPoint. Thank you, everybody.